Hello, Captain Ethan Whitehall, Company D, 2nd U.S. Sharpshooters. In today's video, we're talking about the Berdan issue knapsack. At the beginning of the war, when the sharpshooters were mustered into service in 1861, they were issued this. This is what's known as the Berdan Sharpshooter Knapsack, or a Prussian-style knapsack. The originals were made by Louis Comfort Tiffany Company. They cost the U.S. government $3.50 to produce. Reproductions these days are upwards of the $400 range with the Berdan Sharpshooter mess kit. So beginning with the pack, it is a hard frame. There's wood on the sides, bottom and top, making it a very rigid form, and it's covered with calf hide, just like the originals. On the back side, or inside of it, the part that goes against the back, the sharpshooters really love these packs because, as you can see, it has this contour that fits the back perfectly. The straps go over the shoulder, and these are what's known as rifleman straps. Really not sure why. It's probably from a European style of their light infantry or riflemen. These little clips hook onto the belt. These other little O-rings hook onto here. These packs are very easy to put on and take off. We've dropped packs many times in the field, and it's no more than 5 seconds to take them off. The adjustment for the straps, just depending on your height, body size, basically, you pull this tab up, and in here you have a wood splint that goes through these little sockets, for lack of a better term, to go through and secure them in place. This just moves freely. It's just a little polished wood board. That closes down. A little known fact about the sharpshooter knapsacks that I actually recently learned from Brian White and Paul Lopez, who makes fantastic knapsacks, including Berdan packs, is this little piece right here. This would have been worn with the belt going through it. This leather piece would close over it and secure it more to the back. The reason for that is the knapsack was made to ride low in the back with the blanket roll coming a few inches above your shoulder. That way, if you're going through brush, everything like that, the blanket roll or the knapsack or greatcoat on top of the knapsack wouldn't get caught in underbrush, sticks, branches, things like that. It was one of those weird little tidbits that in 10 years of reenacting as a sharpshooter, I've never actually known until a few weeks ago. So going to the back side of the knapsack, we have a blanket roll. Overcoats would have been worn on top as well. Most of us choose to wear the blanket on top, mostly because we don't reenact in that cold of weather. Usually it heats up throughout the day. Even if it's still a cold day, a frock coat or a sack coat usually suffices. This knapsack is our first sergeant's. He opted to have hemp rope on top. As sharpshooters, they were instructed to climb trees, things like that, so that would aid in that. But also, soldiers are creatures of ingenuity. Rope has 101 uses around camp, setting up tents, holding down flies, everything like that. The main part of the knapsack that usually catches people's eye is this little metal box. This is what's known as a sharpshooter's mess kit. It's a 3-piece cooking set that is strapped to the knapsack. It has a boiler, a fry pan, and a cup, and there's a metal handle that's in the shape of an L. There's also a bail on it, and basically it's just 2 straps, comes off fairly quickly. A lot of sharpshooters actually don't want to use it, so you'll see a lot of sharpshooters with very bright and shiny mess kits. Well, if you're a sharpshooter, you don't want to really stand out, which is kind of unfortunate. Some people have even opted to spray paint theirs black and give it the used look, and this has been fire scorched, everything like that. So this is how a used mess kit should look like. It's not bright and shiny, it's not fully spray painted black. So with the mess kit, This is how it comes apart. This is your fry pan. And let's see what our first sergeant has inside. We have a wash rag, a few candles, a poke sack with a fork and spoon in it. So here's the L-shaped handle, the cup, so to speak. So as you can see on the mess kit, there's all these little ridges and hooks. The reason for that is this little handle. Now you have a way to get it off the fire instead of burning your hands or trying to grab it with a stick or something like that, having it break and you're losing your food into the fire or on the ground, which has no use for you at that point. Again, just go over, set it on the fire, pull it out, continue cooking. Fry pan, same thing, just hooks in very nicely. So apart from the mess kit, the knapsack has an inner flap, where a sharpshooter would have carried, spare socks, a spare shirt, under drawers, possibly even a few creature comforts from home, a book, Bible, letters from home, paper to write letters from home. Underneath the outer flap, we have our first sergeant's ground cloth. If a sharpshooter decided to wear his overcoat on top, the blanket and ground cloth would have been in this little space here. There is plenty of room for adjustment. Even on the farthest strap out, you have plenty of room to keep a blanket there. So on the inside of our knapsack that we have here, some people decide to carry nothing in their sharpshooter packs. There are complaints by some that they're too heavy. However, if you get the straps right and get it fitted to the back right, this is the most comfortable pack you can ever have. Honestly, I wish when I was in school, I would have worn one of these to school every day because it would have actually been a lot better. So in our first sergeant's knapsack, we do have one piece of farb. However, it's one of those necessary things. It's a first aid kit. If we're wearing this out in the field, either at a reenactment or one of our private little sharpshooter training events, someone gets a bad gash in the hand, something like that, we can treat it right then and there. However, everything else in here appears to be fairly authentic. We have a bundle of wood stakes that our first sergeant has made, and of course he has a video on how to make these, so be sure to check that out. We have a wool cap. Again, colder months, cold nights, these are incredible to have. Most of your heat's lost through your head, so of course a good sharpshooter or a soldier in general would have something to cover his head at night. We also have spare ammunition. Sharpshooters were known to be hoarders of ammunition. The usual amount of soldiers to carry into battle was 40 rounds. Sharpshooters carried 160. This is just another 10 dead Confederates ready to go in a knapsack. We also have a shelter half. You'll see, at reenactments, reenactors coming in with a shelter tent, but two halves. Each soldier, including the sharpshooters, carried one half of a shelter tent. We also have a straight razor. Again, when you're in the military, you're on active campaigning, lice, ticks, chiggers, things like that are always an issue. So keeping well-groomed facial hair or hair on your head is typically a must. You'll see guys with huge long beards down to here. Those are more for general officers, people who weren't, with the enlisted swine, so to speak. We also have a few more poke sacks, a folding candle lantern, a tobacco pouch, a button board. Even in the sharpshooters, yes, we have black buttons and we do have some brass buttons. However, there are the odd occasion that we have inspections, so these are nice to have. They're not required, but every now and then we do try to look a little fancier than we portray. And we also have field glasses. Of course, being sharpshooters, long distance shooters, this helps with spotting targets, especially the high value ones, officers, color bearers, musicians, and cannon crews. And lastly, I believe we have, for Sergeant's harmonica, music was a huge morale booster in the Civil War. It wouldn't be uncommon to have soldiers carry, a small hand drum, possibly even a banjo, especially in more static locations. But anything that can be carried that's lightweight, like a harmonica, is perfect. So now that we have all the contents out of the knapsack, you can see a little more on the inside, how it's actually very spacious for everything that fits in there. The heaviest I've ever carried a Berdan knapsack was, I believe, weighing in at about 18 pounds, and that's everything I needed for a reenactment for the weekend. As soldiers were in the Civil War and reenactors today, and very common military saying is pounds equals pain. The more you can try to skinny down what you need to carry, including the knapsack, because it does have an initial weight to it, the better. There were some accounts of sharpshooters with almost near empty knapsacks or no knapsacks at all. A little more history on the knapsacks. They were issued to both regiments. However, the 1st Regiment lost their knapsacks at the Battle of Chancellorsville. They were ordered to drop packs. They were reassured, don't worry, you'll be coming back after this battle. You'll be getting your knapsacks. Those who know what happened at the Battle of Chancellorsville, it was a huge embarrassment for the Union Army. They ended up getting routed. And the sharpshooters in the 1st Regiment never came back for their Berdan packs. They just rotted away or were carried off by either envious Union soldiers or very lucky Confederate soldiers. Sometimes on campaigns, the sharpshooters actually sent their knapsacks into storage. Some even buried them. The ones sent to storage, the owners would have them returned, only to find them rifled through. They were cut up. Soldiers would just, what does he have in here? Anything valuable, anything like that? So they would just tear them apart, trying to find anything of use, or they just outright steal them. As far as I know, there's only 2 original Berdan knapsacks in existence. One is actually from the previous 1st issue owner, was Leonard Small of Company D, 2nd U.S. Sharpshooters. There was another one in a museum in South Carolina, I believe, that was captured by a Confederate soldier. The last knapsack known, or at least recorded in sharpshooter history, was in 1864 at the Battle of Petersburg. The sharpshooter wearing it, unfortunately, had to cut the straps off, otherwise he would have been captured. A really funny story that I've read about a knapsack was at the Battle of Fredericksburg. The Confederates actually brought up a Whitworth rifled cannon, not a Whitworth rifle that the Confederate sharpshooters are known for. A sharpshooter laying on the ground had this on his back, and a Confederate shell actually hit right here on the side, ripping it off of his back and scattering the contents about 30 yards away. Everyone thought it was funny except for him, because they didn't just have a cannonball rip a knapsack off their back. But all in all, these are great packs. We've never really had any bad issues with them. Sharpshooters also did carry the 1855 double bag, which we will do a later video on. Unfortunately, we don't have one here now that we can do a side-by-side comparison, but they did wear both knapsacks and even blanket rolls, or no knapsack at all during the Civil War. If you liked the video, please give it a like, and if you'd like to subscribe, please do so. We have plenty more videos about sharpshooter gear, reenacting how-tos, everything like that. Thank you.